Hello and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk. It's Easter Saturday, April 8th, 2023. I'm Daniel Blake. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly hope that you've been having a nice, peaceful, relaxing, and even a reflecting weekend so far. I know that a lot of you work very hard during the week, and to get this long holiday. Yeah, I really hope that you guys, if you don't want to do go road and do whatever you want to do, that's fine. But if you're resting, I would really love that because you guys deserve it. Work very hard for the money, so rest up and then prepare again for Tuesday. I think in before I start and the show goes on, I really think that sometimes workplaces should have holidays like school, like like how children go off on holiday from both Wednesday and them not going to return till the following Monday. Yeah, I know that corporate and the government, it's all about the money, so them not going to do that. But I mean, I think you would have a healthier workforce and people would be more motivated to work, knowing that they will have like these holidays where they can relax and, you know, come back again stronger, everything. Because that's one of the reasons why children end up learning better than they do, is because they have periods of rest. Them go school 8 to 2, and then them have holidays, midterms, summer break, and all those things. Not saying that workplace must have this long 2 month summer break. Not advocated for that. Anyways, this is Sports Talk. Thank you to everyone who is tuned in. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook on Love 101 FM's pages, thank you so much for watching and listening in. For those who downloaded the Love 101 FM app in the Google Play or Apple Store on your smart device and you're listening in right now, thank you. If you are tuned in on your internet browser, love101.org, thank you as well. Or if you're doing it the old fashioned way, 101.1 all the way to 101.9 on the FM band, wherever you are on the island. Thank you so much for joining me. So, even though Champs ended last Saturday, there are still a whole lot of things to talk about. And we here didn't get that opportunity because Champs was still going on at the time. So, we're going to talk about some of the top moments. If we talk about everything that happened during Champs, we will be here till I would say midnight, and people have them shows to do, and I have a home to go to as well. We'll also be talking about the whole issue of the indiscipline thing. I'm sure most of you have seen the articles, heard the statements, all of those things coming from Champs about um, matters of indiscipline and this and that. So we're going to be discussing that. Track and field commentator, analyst, stadium announcer, just an extraordinary man at what he does, Donald Smith. He will be joining me very shortly to talk about some of those top performances and other things. If you have some opinions, I want to hear from you. So please, 876-997-3125. I memorize that number, and then when I start to say it, I feel like I forget. But it's 876-997-3125. That is our WhatsApp number. So feel free to leave your comments on what you thought about Champs, Kingston College winning the boys section, Heidel winning their first ever title in the girls section. You can talk about that. If there were individual performances that you loved, if you just loved the watching experience, or if some of you decided to listen rather than watch, that's fine as well. And even the whole indiscipline issue that you have seen come up over the last few days, just let me know your thoughts. And if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, you can leave your comments in the comments section already. Seeing Rima Daly sending good afternoon, Marian and Michael saying good evening. That means Uno well ahead of me then, Marian and Michael, for say good evening. Dahlia Barrett and Kevar Thompson. Thank you so much for sending in your greetings as well. Nicole saying good afternoon. I don't watch that movie yet, Nicole, but I'm planning to do that real soon. All right. So before I get into my monologue, I usually start with my sports bits, which is a mini sports report. So let's start with track and field because there's no concern over national junior record holder Buaji Nkrumah after he sustained an injury in the heat of the 100 meters on the opening day of the Carifta Games in the Bahamas earlier this morning. Nkrumah, who ran an impressive 9.99 seconds last week at Boys Champs and helped Kingston College to the title, pulled up at around 60 meters after leading the entire race. He was wheelchaired off the track and was sent to the hospital to undergo an MRI. So hoping that it is nothing too serious. Meanwhile, Jamaica already secured their first set of medals in the girls under 17 high jump. Asia McKay took gold with 1.73 meters, and Sanika Williams secured bronze with 1.6 meters. The morning session of the Carifta Games was completed earlier, which included Alana Reid and DeAndre Daly advancing to the semifinals of the boys and girls 100 meters under 20. The afternoon session will begin at 3 p.m. Jamaica time, and for those who have cable, you will be able to find it and watch it. It's also on YouTube, so go and watch our athletes. And a number of world-class athletes will be heading to Jamaica in June for the Racers Grand Prix at the National Stadium. America's 200-meter world champion Noah Lyles, sprint hurdles record holder Toby Amusan, Olympic gold medalist Wade Van Niekerk, and Olympic silver medalist Kenny Bednarek are among the overseas athletes set to compete. Several high-profile Jamaican athletes will also take part, including Sharika Jackson, Hansel Parchment, Oblique Seville, Shanika Ricketts, and Frederick Dakers. The Racers Grand Prix, which is a part of the World Athletics Continental Tour, is making a return following a 3-year break because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, Jamaica will be one of the stops on the FIFA Women's World Cup Trophy Tour. The trophy will arrive on April 17 and is one of the 40 cities that will take part in the tour as the road to the 2023 World Cup continues. It will be on display at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in Kingston before it goes on a road tour of Montego Bay. The trophy will make its last stop at the Holiday Inn Hotel before traveling to Toronto, Canada. The Reggae Girls will face France, Panama, and Brazil in their World Cup group this summer in Australia. The team are currently preparing for the tournament and will play a friendly against Sheffield United at the King Power Stadium in Leicester City on Monday. Meanwhile, Reggae Girls captain Khadija Bonishaw was named the Barclays Women's Super League Player of the Month for March. She scored 5 goals in 3 appearances and helped Manchester City finish the month with a 100% record in the league. Bonishaw, who was also named Player of the Month for November, is the top scorer in the WSL with 16 goals. She also became Manchester City's highest scoring women's player in a single campaign. And finally, St. Elizabeth Technical High School State successfully defended their Issa Grace Headley Cup crown with a 6-wicket win over Mayday High in the three-day final at States Complex. Scores in the match: Mayday 202 and 122 for 9 declared, States 217 and 108 for 4. That was your sports bits for this afternoon. It is now time for this.
Connection established. It's time for Daniel's weekly monologue.
I'm Ariel Brown Blake.
I'm Dave Blake.
I'm Hope Blake.
I'm David Blake.
And it's time for the Danielog.
The Danielog.
The Danielog.
The Danielog.
I will love it. And I think I deserve it.
Good afternoon to Suzette, who's saying Fortis, good afternoon. I'm not taking that greeting, actually. You can keep that. I don't want a Fortis good afternoon. I'd like a regular good afternoon. Canton, Woolmere, and Fortis good afternoon. Good evening, Pauline. See that you're back overseas after enjoying champs. Uh, and the Uncle Dave Ministries, I soon come to your comment as well. So let me just get to my monologue, and I will try to remain as calm as possible. So, can you imagine? Champs was such a success. We saw some spectacular performances. The stadium did full again, even though some people had an issue with the schedule, for example, because the 100-meter finals happened on Wednesday, typically happens on Friday, then them cram everything into Saturday, which never made no sense. So, Issa, please continue doing what you're doing. I have a suggestion on that, but I don't think I might get into it today. Everything was going extremely well. Kingston College, they retained their title. Hydel create, I wouldn't say a major upset because it's been coming. They've been developing their program well. And they won girls champs led by Alana Reed with that superb performance in the 100 meters. And champs was amazing. However, the takeaway from champs over the last few days, as a matter of fact, even on this final day on Saturday, it's the whole issue of the indiscipline thing, right? I get that there might have been one or two incidents that happened, but when you're going to cloud the entire champs and say champs was riddled with indiscipline and with wrong issues and those type of things. The first one which caught a lot of people's eye was the class 2 final for the 100 meters with Shaquille Gordon of Calabar and Clark of Kingston College. Clark was basically on his way to top 3, but the Calabar athlete Gordon, in my opinion, inadvertently tripped him, and Clark finished outside of the medals. Him get very emotional, confronted him. There was no fight. There was no real physical type of confrontation. He was, I believe, initially he was banned from entire champs, but Casey appealed and everything. But the video went viral and everybody was saying, oh, you know, these school children don't know how to behave. No. Was the KC athlete wrong for doing so? Yes. But is it understandable? Extremely. Why? Because that young man was training from about August, September, maybe even longer than that. Prepared himself to a point where he would have not only been a medalist for himself, but he would have given valuable points to his school. So to see his dream taken away like that, and it was obviously emotional and full of adrenaline. So yes, it was wrong in a sense, but it's almost like people couldn't understand, oh, a high-level athlete who wants to be competitive and whose dream is to win a medal at champs, you know, lost his head for a little. And the whole celebrations with the whole gun finger thing, is it right? That's debatable, because it's not like the athletes are literally saying them going to shoot the other athlete with a gun or anything like that. I have personally been to concerts, gospel concerts, where Prodigal or Nicholas, those songs start play, and I've seen Christians bust blank. Are they wrong for doing it? I believe it's in Jamaican culture. It obviously stems from the fact that we have a violent culture, but none of it is meant in a negative sense. So to hear, you know, the sports minister coming out making her statements, to hear Don Webby in on Saturday saying that He doesn't want Grace to be associated with an indisciplined champs and everything. It kind of bothers me because out of the hundreds, in my opinion, thousands of things that happened at champs where there were a lot of great sportsmanship displayed. How many times athletes drop or, faint or whatever it is after the line, and it's their fellow athletes from other schools come pick them up. Even the issue with St. Jago, their fans cleaning up after the champs was over and them clean up the bleachers. I could literally list so many good things that happened, but as usual, we tend to focus on the bad, and then the entire champs name gets clouded, and everybody's thinking that champs is now filled with indiscipline. And in my opinion, it is very unfair to the athletes who work very hard when there were literally just a handful of incidents, which in my opinion were overblown, over exaggerated, over everything. Our athletes did exceptionally well. They put on a great championships, and it's just a real shame that people have been labeling the entire event as that. Anyways, want to focus on the positives. So we're going to talk about some of those top performances with someone who had the best seat in the house, track and field commentator and analyst Donald Smith. He'll be joining us very shortly. So stay tuned here on Love 101, the family station for Sports Talk.
Have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
FunFest is fun, can't done. Thanks to our partner Nestrum, Nestle Clean, Nestle Lactogen, Oreo, Cadbury, Kraft Heinz, and Love FM. Come enjoy FunFest Family Festival on Monday, April 10th at Hope Garden. Gates open at 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come out early. FunFest.
This is a special announcement from Love 101 and Love Television. Our general offices will be closed to the public at 12 noon on Holy Thursday, April 6, 2023, through to Easter Monday, April 10, and will reopen on Tuesday, April 11 at 8:30 a.m. Programs and commercials for the period Friday, April 7 through to Tuesday, April 11 should be submitted by 9 a.m. on Thursday, April 6, 2023, and obituaries and notices by 10 a.m. on the same day to ensure scheduling for broadcast. Love 101 and Love TV wish for you and yours a holy and peaceful Easter weekend.
Here's an invitation for churches and community organizations. If you're hosting an event which offers free admission, tell us about it and we'll get the word out in Love FM's bulletin board. Simply email your information to bulletinboard@love101.org. Love FM's bulletin board for church and community events with free admission and certain fundraising events. Conditions apply. Listen to Bulletin Board on Love 101 Saturdays at 4:55 p.m. Love FM's bulletin board is on your family station, Love 101.
The station of choice, above the noise. Love 101. The family station.
It is 1:20 p.m. here in Jamaica. Thank you for staying with me inside Sports Talk right here on Love 101, the family station. And here's some calm down, right? I'm fully calm now. I'm fully calm. And one of the reasons why I'm fully calm is because I'm going to be talking to one of the calmest men over the airwaves, one of the best to do it. Track and field commentator, analyst, stadium announcer, just, yeah, extraordinary. Donald Smith. Donald, thank you so much for joining me.
Finally, right? Good afternoon, Dan.
No man, you're good. Actually,
Thanks for having me again.
If you never join, I'd be ranting till 2 o'clock.
I can just imagine.
All right. So before we get into some of those top performances, I want to start out with the overall table. Heidel winning it all with 279 points, just two ahead of Edwin Allen. That disqualification in the 4x1 really hurting Edwin in the end. But even though some people think it's an upset, it's almost like it's been coming over the years, and we even saw it with Central Champs. This one was truly deserved by Heidel.
I tend to agree with you. I think that it was a very fantastic championships for Heidel. But if I'm to be honest, I wasn't going to use the result at Central Championships, largely because Heidel would have used runners who were able to run at Central but would not have been able to run at Champs because of the transfer rule. They have the likes of Kamoy Bingham, who is a transferee from St. Jago, Abigail Campbell, who won Class 2 400 last year from Ferncourt. They would have participated at Central and would have given them at least, 18, probably 20-something points. They didn't have those young ladies at championship. And I thought they, having been disqualified from the medley relay the Friday before, Saturday, before the final day, that was it for their championships. But I think they did creditably well in the field events, which showed the depth that they would have had at Champs this year. And Edwin Allen never made it easier for themselves either, by not only not taking advantage of Heidel not being in one of the 4x1s, but they themselves got disqualified in the medley final, you know. But overall, I think it was a deserved championships. I think the championships needed something like that, because on the boys' side, it was a runaway for Kingston College pretty much after the third day of the championships. So that Heidel Edwin Allen battle was just needed, I think, for this year's championships.
Yeah, needed was definitely is definitely the word I'd use, because there was even a suggestion on the final day, which probably came too late, that maybe the girls' events for all the relays and so forth should go last, because it was going down to the wire. Because heading into Champs, there were a lot of predictions that it would be tight between Kingston College and Jamaica College, but that just didn't materialize. Why do you think that JC, even though they got close to 300 points, just didn't match up to KC this time around?
That's a very good question, because I, for one, I never thought that it would have been super close, to be honest. And I must say up front, I have never done points going into Champs. I've just never done it. I just pretty much look at what has been happening in the season and try to make an assumption from that, but I've never gone into the specifics of assigning points based on events. I do think that JC had a very good team. Did they have a team that would have ended up winning the championships? I still don't see it, even with what ended up happening. Which leads me to answer your question. I think Jamaica College, the injuries that they got, especially after the second day, you know, I think that hampered them really bad, because when you look at the likes of Hector Benjamin, Mark Anthony Miller, you know, these guys getting injured. Even Jaden Reed in the 200 meters final, apparently, he had a stomach bug, so he was pretty much running on empty fumes. So they had a lot of injuries and a lot of concerns, health concerns. for the championships, and I thought that hampered them. Even going further, if you were to look beyond the injuries, when you look at the hurdles, they're very weak in the hurdles. And I think that if you really want to challenge for championships, you need to have at least one person in every hurdle final. And I don't think JC did that this year. And even if they had persons in the final, they were not able to challenge for a top 3 position. But it's not, they didn't have a bad team. And I thought Kingston College, they really dug deep. They looked at the fact that they had the favorite stag and they didn't let it get to their head. And I think that that helped them a lot. They too did have some injuries, but clearly not as impactful as Jamaica College's injury list. But take nothing away from Kingston College. I thought that it was their championships to lose, really.
Yeah. Before we go into some of the individual performances, because we're almost heading to our break, Donald, anytime you're up on the show, it seems like time just moves faster than it
Too
usually
fast.
does. Yeah. So ISA this year decided to make some changes, and there were a lot of complaints from the public in terms of moving the 100 finals to Wednesday. A lot of people felt that gave the athletes a disadvantage because the stadium wasn't full or anything like that. But from your 2 hats, just being a fan of the sport and also being a stadium announcer, what did you make of the entire schedule?
So I think that the schedule, for the most part, could do it a little more tweaking. The concern, so this is the thing, it's hard to break habits. And I think the traditionalists who are used to the 100 meters being on a Friday evening, everybody leave work 3:30, 4 o'clock, head to the stadium. It's a whole vibe. You don't get that on a Wednesday. I've heard concerns from persons who said that the midweek schedule for the 100-meter final, where do the parents get time off from work to come into the stadium and so forth? But one could also argue, where do they get time on a Friday, because it's still a work day? I first and foremost believe that track and field, the schedule must be done in such a way where it keeps the athlete in mind. And based on how it is at the moment, I'm sure that the coaches and ISA, the organizing body, would have realized that based on what was there over the years, if athletes are doubling, the amount of time between events was too short. This particular schedule, I think, affords some amount of rest time to the athletes. So look at, for example, Gordon of Calabar, Shaquille Gordon of Calabar, ran the 100 final. Then he had a nice little break leading into the sprint hurdle final. Previous years, that may not have been the case. He would have been running 100-meter semifinal and 100-meter hurdle semifinal the same day, which and that's just one loose example that I could think off the top of my head. Of course, it's going to take time for fans to adjust to that and, fill up the stadium. But it can't be that, you pack the bulk of the championship in 2 days. It makes no sense. And the arguments are always going to be there. When I say, though, that I think that the schedule could be tweaked a lot, Friday night, which was in the past on your hype days, I think that it should have a final. You have the 2,000-meter steeplechase, and I believe the 1,500 meters that would have been held on that particular day. I would have brought the sprint hurdles semifinals earlier and run those and end the day with a final or set of finals, because it kind of ends in an anticlimax, if you ask me, on the Friday. So I think they could give some thinking to that, and I don't think that it would have any major impact really on the Saturday, even though you may have persons who run the 15 who are going to run the 800. But I think it could be done in such a way where we can end with a final. And then lastly, with the schedule, I can't understand why we had finals being scheduled minutes to 10 in the night, a school event. And I think that the organizers really need to look at that, where that is concerned. You need to try, because there are a lot of gaps in how the meet was being run. And I think that we could make better use of some of those gaps. And I'm sure this is, planning these meets, it's always a work in progress. And I'm sure that the organizers who are going to take the feedback from the various stakeholders and see how best they can get a product that not necessarily makes everybody happy, but tries as best as possible to make everybody happy.
But most importantly, the athletes happy, as
Quite
you
so.
mentioned at the start. All right, so we are going to head into a break right here on Sports Talk. Remember that you can interact with us, your comments about champs, what you thought. 876-997-3125. That's our WhatsApp number, 876-997-3125, or leave your comments if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook. Donald will still be with me. We head into a break. We'll be right back.
Get ready for an inspiring morning inside Love in the Morning with your host, Jekyll Dyer, this Tuesday, April 11. At 5:45 a.m., we give love shout-outs to some creatives and businesses that are leaving footprints in their respective fields. Grab your cup of coffee and start the day right with Morning Coffee Pick Me Up Devotional at 6 a.m. Then at 7 a.m., we bring you The Morning Watch with intriguing and thought-provoking discussions. 8:30 a.m. inside Healthy Way, we discuss cervical cancer, as April is recognized as Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. Then at 9:35 a.m., the phone lines are open for A Voice for Hope, a time for listeners to call and share challenges faced and help needed regarding light, water, and more in your community. Stick and stay with us this Island Vibes Tuesday inside Love in the Morning, 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
I am a man, yes.
Men in the inner city, can they be successful? We think yes. Ghetto youths can be better youths. On Wednesday, April 12 at 5:30 p.m., we will dive into the success story of our guest, Emerson Benjamin. Join us for the mailbox right here on Love 101, the family station, celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Church of God of Prophecy is inviting you to our 78th National Convention at the Church of God of Prophecy, 421 Old Harper Road, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, under the theme Celebrating 100 Years and Growing Stronger, from April 11 to 16, with dynamic local and international speakers, music and arts ministry, and much more. Come experience glory with the Church of God of Prophecy Jamaica in our 78th National Convention from April 11 to 16 at 41 Old Harper Road, Spanish Town, St. Catherine. See you there.
Jamaica, taste it all. Yeah, well, crispy fried chicken, please.
Yeah, with Pepsi.
2 orders of spicy jerk pork.
Yeah, with Pepsi.
Give me some cheesy patties.
Yeah, with Pepsi.
Hey, can I get extra curry gravy?
Yeah, with Pepsi.
Make me some fried escovitch fish.
Yeah, with Pepsi.
Taste it all. Yeah, with Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Show me how the bun to me cheese. But I just something when me like. And then the cheese make it nice. Would I never pick another choice? Can't show me how the bun to me cheese. No mind get fun when I Easter. Give you all man, no pizza. Slice the cheese, 1, 2, 3, seater. Jamaica to gorilla say. Show me how the bun to me cheese. But I just something when me like. And then the cheese make it nice. Would I never pick another choice? Can't show me how the bun to me.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything where you need. Bashco. Quality service guaranteed and a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco that gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, and linen everything for your kitchen, rugs, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Easter times are coming and the buns are being baked. So many buns to choose from, but only one to take home. HTV is the one that's got that baked in quality. Full of fruits and raisins, soft and sweet as a bun can be. So when you're buying Easter buns, look out for HTV. That's the one that's got the taste that's guaranteed to please.
HTB.
101.1, 101.3, 101.5, 101.7, 101.9. Love is all you need.
Welcome back to Sports Talk here on Love 101, the family station. It is 1:36 here in Jamaica. I'm not sure what time it is where you are, but hope that you're enjoying the show. Remember, you can send in your comments on 876-997-3125. That's 876-997-3125. Or on YouTube, Suzette, I realized that you sent in a voice note about champs. So I'm gonna play that. So let me just do that right now.
Good afternoon, Danielle. I listened and I watched, and this is not because I'm a KC fan. This is just real talk. I understand and I agree. I don't put up with wrongdoing and indiscipline and all of that. But everybody's coming down on the students. We don't even know what they put in to come and run for 9 seconds or 10 seconds. We don't even know what 6 months training, vigorous, going to school, doing exams, doing all of that, and to come and run for like 10 minutes in a finals after two rounds before. And then you get impeded. Yes, he ticked off, and I don't see why everybody's coming down so hard, because I don't hear anybody talking about the official that walked onto the field while a race was going on. And so we need to just split justice the right way. And tops off to Idol, yes. And all that Idol child that she dropped and then she got up and run with such a vigor. Champs was a blessing for me. I enjoyed every minute of it. And that's my take.
You know, hold on, let me bring back Donna, because I when I saw that race and I saw the official on the track, a lot of people forgot that there was the man that was pushing. What was he? I don't remember what he was pushing, but you know, the officiating this year was a little shaky. But I don't want to focus on that, and I don't want to focus on the negativity part. But just to get your quick comment on that, in terms of the whole blanketing champs as this event this year that was riddled with indiscipline, as someone who was literally the stadium announcer, did you think that this champs was extraordinarily indisciplined, or it was out of, it lacked class or anything like that?
To the contrary, I don't believe so. I think apart from that particular incident that the caller just mentioned, if you were really zoomed in on a lot of the performances, you'd have seen a lot of camaraderie right around the board. Field eventers, they're known to always applauding and pushing each other. If you watch a long jump, shot put, discus, you see the athletes applauding when one of their competitors is about to take a jump or a throw. And on the track, yes, there would have been, and this is the thing, when something is, how you know that something is not bad is when everybody's zoning in on the one thing that went bad, and I thought on the track, there are a lot of instances where after races, athletes from different schools went across, hugged each other, shook hands. There was a whole lot of that. And one instance that stands out for me, I think it was after the 800 meters final for Class 1 boys. Kemario Bygrave of Jamaica College won, and he was like one of the few athletes who was still standing after the race. And he went across to check on his fellow competitors, assisting some of them up to their feet. And, if we were to allow that one incident to mar the thing, then we would have come away with the notion that the champs was spoiled. But I've seen previous champs that had many more incidents that there was no focus on. I think that this particular champs was actually a very good one where discipline is concerned.
Yeah, I think that the rise in social media and you know the woke police and all those things, it's anyways, let me not get into that. Let's talk about some of the performances, and I want to start out with one that I think a lot of people may have missed. Jody and Mitchell of Homewood. If you break a record set by Natoya Gould, that means you did something spectacular. What did you make of her record breaking run? And when Natoya was breaking Kenya's record and so forth, we thought that she would be a future star. Even though we don't want to call it so early, how impressed are you with Jodie Ann, and what do you make of her future prospects in the sport?
Wow, that's a very good question. You know, I wasn't in the stadium when that race was being run. I was on my way to the stadium, so I missed it. I missed it live. But Natoya Gould would have set that record in 2010. This is a 1500 meters, so class one girls. And it wasn't an easy record, 4:29:81. And to lower that record to 4 minutes 29:42 thereabout, you know, that is phenomenal. And where we have seen Natoya Gould, where we have seen her gone to, one must now assume and presume that Jodie Mitchell is on a similar career path. You know, it was an excellent run from her, executed well, and clearly she had an agenda, and probably not only to win the race, which she eventually did, but to also break the record, and to do it in the way that she did it, you know, says a lot about the type of talent that she is. And over the years, Jodie Mitchell has been having a lot of battles, especially with Kishe Rowe of Alphonsus Davis over 800 and 1500 meters. That was another battle again. Kishe finishing second in that particular race, and they have been pushing each other. The thing is that Jodie Mitchell has not necessarily dominated how her talent suggests she can. So it's no good to see that she not only broke the record in that 1500, but also looking set to move up a notch as she gets ready to go to the next stage of her high school or even collegiate career.
Yeah, really hoping that she really makes it, because as I mentioned, if once you break certain records, like if you break Natoya records, if you break Bolt's records, it means that you are set for something great. Let's make some of the KC fans happy. To talk about Buaji and Krumi. By the way, no KC hate or anything, because no matter which school you support, that performance from Nkrumah in the class one 100 meters was spectacular. So much so that it was just, it's almost like he could have gone faster, doing 9.99. How impressive was that run? And knowing that even, I think even a few races before, the conditions didn't seem to be ideal, because I think they were going into a headwind. But how impressive was that run from Nkrumah?
So let me put it in context to give the listeners an idea of how impressive that was. In the history of under 20 100 meter sprinting, only two other athletes all time have gone below 10 seconds. In the history of under 20 sprinting, only two other athletes. So we're looking at the likes of a Johan Blake, who has never gone below that time, a Odin Ski, never gone below that time, a Christopher Taylor, a Usain Bolt, a Safa Powell. None of our big name runners who would have done it big at the senior level, and the Dexter Lees, they have never gone below 10 seconds at the under 20 or the junior level. What Buaji and Nkrumah did on Wednesday night at the championships is no mean feat. It's a superb run. And as you rightly said, I thought he could have gone faster. He has this thing about looking around, glancing, which I think takes away some of the speed from him. He could have gone faster in my book, you know, but he joins only Trayvon Bromell, the American, and Letsile Tebogo of Botswana has been the three athletes to have gone below 10 seconds. So it's a massive achievement. You know, somebody, I think I was being interviewed on in another forum, and the question was posed to me whether I thought that he was going to run under 10 seconds at champs, and I was like, it is possible, but if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be surprised, because first and foremost, the instructions must be to go out and win, and whatever comes with that win is a bonus. And not only did he get the bonus here, he got the bonus plus tax in that 100 finals. So fantastic run is, and for those of you who are listening now, you know, he ran this morning, got injured, so we're still waiting to hear the outcome of an MRI that he's been doing. That's at the Carifta Games in Bahamas. He pulled up leading by about 20 meters or so. Finish line was in sight, but felt something and stopped. So hopefully he's not severely injured and it's just cramps.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. And the crazy thing about that race is DeAndre Daly finished second. He ran a personal, I believe was a personal best 10.14, which it would have been what, 0.02 off the old record of Zarnell Hughes 10.12. So it just goes to show how incredibly fast and Krumi was going, to the point where a lot of people might not even remember that DeAndre Daly was in the race.
Certainly
Alana
right.
Reed, yeah, Alana Reed basically did the same in the class 1 100-meter girls, becoming the first athlete to run sub 11 at champs, breaking VCB's record. Last year, we thought that Tina Clayton could do it, but things didn't work out because I think last year it was extremely windy and, you know, yeah, but she did it 10.92. And again, like in Krumi, it felt that she probably could have gone 10.8.
So let's look at it in the semifinals. After that run in the semifinals, I think she ran 11.16 or 11.15.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to my colleague announcers, you know, guys, I think the sub 11 is more realistic than the sub 10 on the boys' side, where the girls are concerned, because how Alana ran that semifinals, you know, I thought that sub 11 was definitely on the cards. I never expected her to go that fast during the final, as in 10.92, probably closer to 10.97, 10.98, but 10.92 is massive. National junior record. As you said, first athlete on the girls' side to go below 11 seconds at championships. And this wasn't at altitude. So many persons always complain and say, well, you know, previous times were done at altitude. There's no concern where that is concerned, where that is related to this time around. And you know, I even went further to say, even if Serena Cole was in that final, I still don't believe she'd have beaten Alana. And many persons look at me and say, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I'm not crazy. But if you look at the one time this season that Serena has beaten Alana, Alana got a poor start, I thought. The other prior race that she would have beaten Serena was Central Champs. And when you look at that race and juxtapose it against the finals at Champs, even though the finals didn't have Serena in it, you could see similarities with how she started, how she got out of the blocks. And I think once she improves some more there, she's going to be very difficult to beat. And no disrespect to Serena, fantastic athlete. I just don't think, even if she was at full fitness, she'd have been able to beat Alana in that final. And I'm happy to say that I saw a video with Serena. She basically said that she's okay. She's on the mend. She just needs to get some physio done and some treatment, and hopefully she'll be back. So a very fantastic athlete. I don't think she has reached her full potential, to be frank. But based on where she is now, even if she was fully fit, I don't think she'd have gotten the win over Alana.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, listeners and viewers, anytime with Donald, it seemed like time just to go by because
we need to add time to the clock.
yeah, we honestly don't touch half of some of those major performances, and we have around 9 minutes to go. But I want to mention the Class 1 boys 400 meters. Delano Kennedy winning that one. Malik Smith Band of JC and Dennis of Stets getting third. But what impressed me the most was that we had 3 Class 1 boys running sub 46. So even though there was no record, how impressive was it to have those boys who could have, if they ran those times, would have made at least the men's semifinals of our national trials.
It's not a joke, it's a serious
Yeah,
thing.
no, that's why it's impressive.
And I think this is potentially the first time that we have had 3 athletes in a 400 Class 1 boys final going below 46. I think we had one race before where Nathan Allen and Bloomfield would have gone. That was the record race. And there is another one where it was only Javon Francis who would have run 45 flat. But 3 in one final, I don't think we have had that before. And Delano Kennedy lived up to his billing. Didn't fall start, thankfully. And he led them home 45-27. And based on his physique, I think that if he's handled and managed well, he could definitely be going below 45 seconds before this season ends. Malik Smith Band, I think this is a Jamaica College record, the 45.74. Super running from him. Many persons were saying where him come from. I was like, if you're watching track and field, you would have been aware that this is a very talented athlete from his days of Class 3. And then Jasana Dennis, who would have represented Jamaica prior, even last year in Cali. Very quality athletes in that field. And for just for them running sub 46 is a huge deal. What it says to me is that our 400 meters can get back to a place where when these athletes translate or transition rather to the pro league or to collegiate level, they will now be able to hopefully run consistently 45 low or 44s, because we know where the world of 400 meters is at the moment. If you're not running 44.2 or 44.1 or 44.0 or 43 high, you can forget about it. So it's good to see high schoolers at the Class 1 level getting so close to 44. And it's hoped that if they continue in this vein, that they too will be consistently running below 45, hopefully before this season ends. I mean, because these guys are pretty much final year Class 1 athletes, at least in the case of Kennedy and maybe Dennis. But it should be interesting to see how they progress throughout the season.
Yeah, and it would be a shame not to talk about Ricky and Russell, 51-26, not too far off of Sutherland's record back in 06. I think that was 51-13.
Correct.
How she just looks like she makes running look easy sometimes. Like how as a 400 runner, how impressed are you with just her stature and how she just in my opinion almost floats through the races?
Well, firstly I must say I'm really happy for the type of season that Ricky and Russell has had this year. Prior to this season, many thought that was it. Her career was pretty much done. One would even forget that she was actually on the Jamaica team last year to Cali, which was a part of the 4x4 team. Many persons didn't even realize that, which was somewhat a progress, somewhat progressive in the sense that she has had injuries and she has not been able to live up to her talent. So the fact that she was able to make a national team last year and then even improve further in 2023 says that, what we were expecting in prior years, because she would have won in Class 3, I think, in 2018. And she would have run with the likes of Deshane Oakley, who is now at college in the US, Makhanoff. She has been there with them, but because she has not achieved much outside of Class 3, she has been largely forgotten. And I'm just happy to see the type of athlete that, or the type of season that she has had this year. And that 51.26, I think, is just icing on the cake for what could have been, or what has been rather, a fantastic year for Reiki and Russell. And I think it's her final year as well. I thought, based on how the schedule was set up, that 51.13 would have gone. I was hoping that she would have gone below 51 seconds, to be honest. But when you run a final, a lot of things can happen. She'd have had a lot of minutes under her legs so far this season. So, and it's a championships. So maybe it was just not to be. But it was a very good run, a very, very good run. And I don't think that we have seen the last of Ricky and Russell. I think this year really is a rebirth for her. And, she's going to likely follow in the footsteps of some of our best quarter milers that we have had over the years. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how best she transitions to the next level.
Yeah, can't wait for that. 2 minutes. Oh my goodness. Would they ever touch on Cedrica Williams breaking the Class 1 discus record and so much more? But finally, was there a performance that we haven't spoken about that still stands out in your mind that maybe a lot of people haven't given enough credit to?
Well, there are two athletes in particular that jump out quickly at me. First one, Abigail Wolf of Holy Childhood, securing their first gold medal ever at Champs, from what I'm understanding. She trains with the MVP track club. What is interesting is not that she won the Class 2 girls 100 meters, but in the semifinals where she ran, I think, 11.59, I was told that it was her first time running below 12 seconds at 100 meters.
Wow.
So that celebration that we saw after just the semifinal was as a result of that achievement. And then to not only top it off with a gold medal in the final, but to go below 12 seconds again. This is an athlete that you could see, for want of a better phrase, a shaking off the shackles, and came out on top in that Class 2 100 meters. And she'll be one to watch going forward. Many persons were like, who is this Abigail Wolf? And I'm like, she has been running. She has been representing her school. It's just that it has not, her talent has not yet gotten her to the point where she was able to be ahead of some of the more common, the more famous names in track and field at that age group level. But no, better coaching, and this is what happens. And this may be a template for other schools who don't necessarily have the coaching expertise in-house. They could potentially get some of their better talent if the clubs would allow it to train with these clubs to see, for them to realize their potential. And then the other athlete, Kadeen Johnson of Heidel, if there is, outside of Captain Magnificent Onika Makhanoff, if there was ever another athlete that I thought was responsible for Heidel winning by 2 points, Kadeen Johnson's name has to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Fell over the final barrier in the steeplechase, having led, got up, went past the athlete that ran ahead of her, one goal. And then in the 3,000 meters final, she knew that she had to do a lot because Edwin had two athletes in that final and she needed to maximize on points. She won there again. And I just thought her perseverance, her resilience, if I was to name somebody as the athlete of the championships on the girls' side, I would definitely have considered Kadeen Johnson for that. It's a double that not many persons would attempt. 2,000 steeplechase, 3,000 flat, gold in both, big points for Heidel as a result, and for the championships. And I think those two young ladies are names that were standout in the championships for me.
Well, Donald, next time I will request another 2 hours so that so that we can do this. But appreciate your insight and your time as always, and we know that you'll be back very soon. So have a great Easter weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, man. Same to you, and have a good one.
All right, Donald Smith there, track and field commentator, analyst, stadium announcer. Him do everything, by the way. So if you have, well, in the sports day gone, so it's too late now, but no next time to call Donald. But that is it for Sports Talk today. Thank you so much for tuning in. For everybody who commented, it was appreciated. And even if you didn't get to comment, just to get your time for the hour, I truly appreciate it. Remember, Sports Talk happens every Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101. Please have an enjoyable Easter weekend, a safe Easter weekend, and as always, watch some sports.